Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. It is June 8th. So, I was recording the previous video on Sunday afternoon, and I got all the way through the first one until about the last 5 minutes, and my computer, there was some sort of an error, everything just stopped. The second time I went to record the video, I forgot to plug in my mic. The third time I recorded the video, that was the one that was released earlier this morning, if you saw it, that had no sound. This is my fourth attempt for Monday. Honestly, I'm just trying to find out what the week ahead looks like. But boy, oh boy, I appear to have been stopped somehow at every turn. So let's hope this one goes well. Okay, shall we? Just keep our fingers crossed. So an interesting time going on these days. Apparently the world has now surpassed 400,000 deaths worldwide. And of course, the United States has better than a quarter of that. So that's, sobering news. Not unexpected, but sobering nonetheless. You have Trump, it just goes from one to the other. If it's not the upside down Bible, it's suggesting that George Floyd would think, Friday was a beautiful day, a wonderful day, a great day. That's what he said. It was a great day. I'm sure he didn't, and I'm sure his family didn't. And I don't know why somebody can't gag Trump, but apparently they can't. So, there's this kind of nonsense going on. And so I wanted to take a quick look, and see, if I can get some clarity this week. Now, I will just share with you quickly a couple of the things that were said in some of the other videos. And this is the thing, when I read, after the reading is done, I remember such a small amount of it. And so from one reading to the next, they vary slightly. I mean, the overall message is the same, but some of the, pieces don't come through reading after reading. So I'm going to share a couple of things that I remember, and it really is only a couple. Given the title Bunker Boy, he's going to be really, really bothered by that label. And it's, there's going to be a lot of references to him being a coward and running into the bunker, and nobody believes he was inspecting a bunker. What is there to inspect, for God's sakes? But anyways, so he's not going to like that narrative of, him being scared. He ran away. Now he's got walls upon walls upon walls around the White House because I guess he, I don't know what. How do we want to take that? He's not concerned for his safety. He's not scared of the people on the other side of the walls. He doesn't think that the protests are having any sort of a negative impact on him. And apparently he thinks that the great big huge lettering in front of the White House on the road that says Black Lives Matter, and kudos, by the way, to the Washington mayor for that. It's like it's all starting to implode. So that was part of it, and I imagine that this reading is going to talk about that again. The other thing that was really interesting was Joe Biden is going to continue to really get under his skin. Now, this morning, there's more polls out, and Trump is doing horrendous. 80% of your country thinks the country is out of control. He's down to something like 38% approval rating, which is significant. That's another drop. He just continues to head south. But so it was like Joe Biden was going to really be able to get under his skin this coming week without really actually trying very hard to do so. Of course, that kind of goes without say, right? Because he's so thin-skinned. And in one of the readings that I did yesterday, they were saying something about anticipating an announcement from the Joe Biden camp with regards to his vice president. Now, I don't know if he's actually going to make an announcement of who it specifically is, or whether there's going to kind of be like, we're down to the top 3. I don't know, but I'm anticipating some sort of an announcement coming out of the Biden campaign with regards to information moving forward, most likely the vice president. So, come on, let's get at this. So I have a question. Come on down. Okay. I can't even say third time the charm, so I'm going to say, fourth request for information on Washington, Donald Trump, extenuating circumstances for the week Monday, June 8th. Here we go. Trump, Washington this week. Trump, Washington this week. Trump, Washington this week. So, very definitely the peaceful protesting that is going on is starting to really, really have a significant impact. I did say that this time is going to be different, and so far it certainly feels as if steps are moving in the right direction. Okay. So there's going to be a lot of activity apparently around the White House. So I don't know if he's going to schlep on out to the Rose Garden again and say something else really stupid, or if there's just going to be a lot of announcements coming out of the White House, a lot of spin. They're going to try to reform the Trump message. They're going to try to grab a hold of the narrative this week, because they certainly have lost it in the last couple of weeks. Okay, the last several months. You're gonna see sort of a lot of spin going on, right? They're gonna really try to reframe this. They're gonna try to move past everything that isn't going well for them, which is all of it. So anticipate that kind of maneuvering or behavior coming out of the White House, coming out of Trump. They really are going to be trying to pivot and get away from all of the bad news. The problem is the bad news is absolutely not going to stop coming. And it's interesting because these two kings are sort of representing his own support. And I'm talking about support within his party. So there's definitely an indicator that behind the scenes there is some serious fractioning going on. More importantly, though, you have some high-ranking members of the Republican Party kind of ready to resume their own power or take back their own power. They're not so keen on verbally supporting Trump, or perhaps even not, like really, really not supporting Trump. There is rumors, in fact, that a couple of them may not even vote for Trump. So that's interesting. But, last week was ridiculous to see all of those government officials, particularly those senators, running around and running away from reporters. And I didn't read that. I didn't see that. I don't know anything about that. That is ridiculous, because of course they know and they saw and they read and they're scared because he is out of control, and it is making the whole situation a lot more kind of volatile and out of control than it needs to be. So look for some interesting rumors or kind of sly statements being made by Republicans, quietly, sort of behind the scenes. It would not Yeah, it really wouldn't surprise me at this point because a lot of them are starting to realize that, that ship is going down and their reputations at this point by association are almost completely unsalvageable. All right. Now, you're also going to see some behavior, it looks like, where some of the things that Trump is going to do, if not this week, then maybe going into next week, is really, really going to feel like he's paying back a favor to someone. Are these perhaps the foreign actors who have been helping him, who say, you do this, we'll do this? A lot more interference. You're going to see a lot more interference coming from foreign countries, perhaps necessarily not allies, in terms of misinformation. There's going to be media blitzes. And it was, interesting because most news channels were showing the calm, peaceful protesters over the weekend. And, Fox has been programming it so that, all you see is the looting and the fires and the nonsense really that hasn't, gone on in a few days to any great degree, if it has at all. So you're going to see, I think, more agitation, more unrest, and more, and not from protesters so much as actually from Trump and the White House, because it's going to feel like he's really either paying back a favor or just siding with information that really, really is not going to serve him. Because, of course, he is famous for doubling down. So when he should pull back, despite the fact that the White House is going to try to remessage him, he tends to get cranky when it's not his way because everybody knows he's a stable genius, right? Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, so so listen, you've got the King of Wands, the King of Swords, and the King of Cups all here. These are representing influential people around him. People, whether that is his party, whatever it is, he has really, really started to lose their support in significant ways. And some of these people are going to start talking. And that is going to send him even into more of kind of a crazy, okay? And here comes the fighting and the squabbling behind the scenes. And some of it isn't always going to be exactly behind the scenes because some of the things that have happened in the last 10 days or so have been so abhorrent, have been so outside anything that looks like a normal democracy, never mind the United States. So I understand that a lot of the military has been pulled back from Washington. I guess there was enough of a stink about that. He finally got the message, that it doesn't make you look strong and powerful. It makes you look weak and afraid. And the more he hears that weak and afraid message, bunker boy, bunker inspector, all of that kind of thing, you can see him. He's going to be in that real struggle to contain himself, and it's not going to be able to very well. I heard this morning that apparently they're talking about doing some sort of a message from the president kind of thing. I don't know if that's going to be like a formal televised one or just messaging that's coming out from the White House. But they're going to try really hard to, as I said earlier, like pivot. But if that happens, you can absolutely anticipate that he is going to do one of those, but there were very fine people on both sides moments, okay? He is not going to be able to stick to script. It doesn't matter how much they tell him it's important. It doesn't matter how much they say this is, you need to stick to this. Nope, he's not going to do that. He's going to go off on his own tangent because he is feeling victimized. He is feeling misunderstood. He is feeling as if he hasn't been appreciated enough. And so that is all going to start like spewing out. Heaven help you, he is going to think actually that he's doing a really bang up job. He's going to feel that the pivot was the pivot, it was successful, and let's just, carry on down the road and get me reelected. And his focus is completely centered now on how do I get reelected. There is absolutely no concern, none, for the country, for the coronavirus, for the protesters, for Black Lives Matter. He doesn't care. This is about, tell me what lie I have to tell people to get me elected. I want another shot I want another term at the presidency. He's not going to get it. He is so trapped by his own words, by his own behavior, by his own trying to look tough and strong, the mercenary, right? I can do this. I'm going to, I'm going to do what I need to do that makes me look good and strong. But all that did was it trapped him, right? That apparent illusion of strength, that illusion of I'm tough and I'll do what needs to be done and I'll do the hard stuff. And and if I happen to make a bunch of money on the side, that's terrific, has literally boxed him in. His hands are tied. He has no movement. He can't see with any sort of clarity what's going on around him. And all he knows is that the ropes around him, if you will, I don't like that analogy, but they're getting tighter and tighter. He just doesn't seem to have a lot of wiggle room left. And that, of course, is because he's done it to himself. So this week, anticipate some more volatility out of him. Anticipate this kind of bizarre pivot that's never quite going to happen. You're going to see more news that really is an indicator that he is losing and has lost ground, and he is probably not going to be able to recover some of that ground. It really feels like he's not going to be able to stop. The Wheel of Fortune has finally turned against him, and it is favoring anybody but him, frankly. So the Wheel of Fortune has changed. So it is favoring listening to the medical professionals. It is listening to Joe Biden. It is listening to the Black Lives Matter and the protests. It is letting government and police forces know that it's time to move forward in a new direction, or there's going to be consequences, because people really have gotten to a place where there is just so much that is chaotic and in chaos with no direction. And people have had it. They've had enough. They're exhausted. They're tired. They're fatigued. And it's not going to work. You can only create chaos for so long before people just say, I don't need to listen to you. I don't want to even look at you, because all you do is create chaos. You have no solutions. You have no way of going forward. So there's going to be a lot of that kind of energy coming at him this week, and I think going into or carrying on throughout June. I'm going to try really hard to get some sort of balance, but you know what? It's not going to work. And the harder they try, honestly, the more he's going to antagonize single white women, the moms. I didn't mean single white. I meant not like the white moms, those ones that, they sort of went to him in the last election. They're all pulling back. The independents are pulling back. He's not going to, at this point, it absolutely does not look like he's going to be able to regain ground. It does not look like he is going to be able to find that balance. Hi there, Skittles. And you're going to see more groups, okay? The evangelicals, he's losing some of those. The black vote has apparently really coalesced behind Biden. Those over 65 have strongly shifted back to Biden from Trump. So he's losing support everywhere. And it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get that ground back. He's on the road, the ground underneath him is becoming more and more precarious all the time. Oh, what a surprise. Oh, what a surprise. Okay. So, here we have, the devil. What a surprise, right? Um, this is talking, and interestingly, this is actually talking about him and his behavior becoming more and more out of control. Is that because perhaps he's getting a little chemical help to do that? I don't know. But his behavior is just going to become, again, there's no bottom with him. And so every week I can tell you it's going to be worse than the week before, and it's hard to fathom. And then you get to the end of the week and oh my God, it was. Um, so expect a fair amount of tweet storms, raging, whatever they try to do to get him under control, it ain't going to work. It's just not going to work. And he is finding out behind the scenes that he is losing important partnerships, whether that is from, Republicans who have supported him in the past, big name donors. I'm not sure, but he's going to continue to hear about people withdrawing from him. And there really is in the country overall, there really is a strong desire to just, you know what, it's not even a wish to go back to the way things were. It is simply a wish for some calm, some clarity. There is a strong desire to put things back the way they were. And I'm talking about things like restrictions that got lifted or pushing forward on Obamacare. There's just a feeling that almost too much has been lost, and there's just a need for there to be some semblance of something people recognize. Now, that does not mean that some of the changes, like I'm thinking about the protesters, they're going to have huge effects. These protesters are, the energy around them is even bigger and stronger and more powerful than the Parkland kids who, did their thing about gun control, and I'm sure they're still very busy doing that. But it's that kind of grassroots energy that just builds and builds. And it really does leave the politicians or the leaders in a no-win situation. Either they're going to side with their constituents and what they want, or they're starting to recognize Trump or no Trump, they're going to be gone. And of course, this is my card for Joe Biden. And that sense that, you know what, there just needs to be some strength in the country that is not built on ego. It feels like there just needs to, there's going to be a great desire this week for things to just settle down and for Trump to keep quiet. And like I say, it looks as if Joe's going to really get on his back. And again, the poll numbers and that kind of stuff are going to be really hard for him to get around. And you've got the victory card sitting right, on top of the Joe Biden card come out next. So that's an indicator that his fortunes are going to continue to rise. And not surprisingly, here comes my Queen of Swords. So, as most of you probably know, the Ace of Swords is my Joe Biden card. The Queen of Swords is my Vice President card. So again, that repeats what I got in a previous reading about there could very well be some announcements coming forward from the Biden camp, but they are going to continue to get stronger and stronger. Really does look like, this is normally about legacies and generational money and that kind of thing. And It's interesting because I'm looking at both the 7 and the 10 of Pentacles, with the Emperor in between. And it just feels energetically like Trump, is not going to get good news this week when it comes to money. Whether that is that ruling coming down with regards to his taxes, I'm pretty sure that's at the end of this week, if not maybe early next week. But either way, it's not going to be perfect news. It's not going to be exactly what he's hoping for. He's going to, there's going to be some sort of a shift in his donations coming in. And, again, whatever they say, don't believe it, but it's definitely looking like there's going to be some bad news coming from that sector. There's going to be some more bad news coming from personal finances or business stuff, whether that is that some of his resorts are really, really now in huge trouble financially. I don't know. But there's a lot of money kind of stuff going on around him. He's probably going to be screaming about, the economy and how wonderful it is, which of course it's not. But with the Emperor sitting here like this, it feels very much like he is going to be exposed even more. Like the Emperor in this case has no clothes, okay? So I'm thinking it's not going to be a great week for him in terms of his popularity, in terms of his approval, in terms of his poll numbers, in terms of finances, financial information, whether that's his own personally or whether that's other people's money like donations. But there's going to be more information coming out that does not really work well for him. The media is going to hopefully get back to something that is a little bit more balanced, because the protests are incredibly important and they should not be minimized. However, your country is still in really concerning shape given the coronavirus, and that has completely fallen off everybody's radar, I think, and frankly to the detriment of a lot of people. I expect that the news, given the coronavirus, between now and sort of the end of the month, is really going to be a heavy lift. It's going to be not good news. There's going to be additional burdens. So hopefully the media is going to be able to sort of find its balance again and stop with the all one news item and nothing else approach, because frankly, that in and of itself is fatiguing. And, the media is not going to be kind to Donald Trump. In the next couple of weeks, his behavior is so abhorrent. It is so unpresidential. It is inhuman and cruel. And he's not going to be able to shake the messages and the images that have been floating around for the last few weeks. Whether that is him in a hospital without a mask, or holding a Bible upside down, or being like a fool and trying to explain to the world that he didn't go running down to the bunker because he was scared, but because he felt an overwhelming need to do an inspection. I've never heard of a presidential inspection. I could be wrong. I could be. And even Fox, even the Fox News polls show Biden, I think it was like 8 points ahead of Trump. So you're going to, and honestly, the talking heads at Fox are the talking heads at Fox. Nothing's going to change there. But you're going to see sort of, I almost want to say a bit more, I don't want to say aggressive approach from the media, but I will say blunt, a more blunt approach. And he's not going to do well with that illumination. He's going to struggle even more and more to hold on to what he wants, to what he believes he's entitled to what he thinks is his. And to do that, he is going to continue to turn away from the norms, from the rules, from the expectations. That's just not his kind of deal, right? He's going to try to go charging ahead. It's not going to work well for him. It's really, really not. And the judgment is going to continue to rain down on his head. So, sounds like this week is going to be a little volatile. Interestingly, I didn't get any impressions that it would be especially like dangerous. Um, the feeling is more that he just can't get himself under control, and frankly, nobody else around him can. So you're going to get some of that erratic behavior. But I'm not getting like, World War III starting or anything like that for this week. Okay, so I hope you can hear this. I hope it has been helpful and informative. Um, until next time, take care. Be well. And you will see and hear from me soon. Bye-bye.